Good afternoon, everyone. It's time for some devotion time. It's Christian, your youth director. For my devotion today, I want to do some cooking in the kitchen. I found that quarantine time has kind of served as kind of a Lenten time for me. And during Lent, I like to focus on something that can bring me a little bit closer to God. In this case, eating a little healthier. So I've been cooking a little bit more frequently, and so I wanted to share one of my meals with you. Today's Bible verse comes from 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verses 31. So whatever you eat or drink or whatever you do so to the glory of God. And so today we're going to be cooking. You'll be more than happy to be able to make this meal yourself. It's called Geschnitzeltisch. It's a dish that my mom made. It's basically a hunter sauce. It's beautiful. I've done some light prep work ahead of time, so if you want to come this way, I'll show you the ingredients that you'll need. You'll need some pork. You can get tenderloin, you can get pork chops. Thinner the better. It just cooks a little bit better. You need some wine to add that extra little flavor. And then you got some pepper, salt, olive oil, paprika, heavy whipping cream. And then I've already pre-mixed the gravy mix because I'm not that great at making gravy yet. Before you guys got here, I did saute some of my onions and mushrooms lightly, just ahead of time. They need to be cooked a little bit beforehand before we add in the meat. And I've got my noodles started to cook. They have a few more minutes left, but this is just to get kind of that prep work out of the way for you. Altogether, it takes about 20-ish minutes to make everything from chopping to finished product. And so if you want to follow me, we're going to add the meat to the pan and we'll see how this works. So you don't want the pan too hot. You don't want to cook things too quickly. And for pork, the nice thing is it doesn't take too long to cook. You're looking for that white as it turns. And as you're cooking, there should be a nice sound. You can cook with the vegetable oil if you want to. It's up to you. I prefer not to. I feel the juices from the onions and the mushrooms that you used work just fine. And you're just going to kind of let that cook. While you're doing that, you're going to grab your paprika, your pepper, and your salt. And you're going to season your meat. Now, I've done this 20-ish times. For the last 5, I've seasoned the meat during the process. Every other time it's been afterwards when everything's been mixed, and then my mom reminds me, in the back of my head, hey, you forgot to season the meat. So just do it during, and it works so much better. So you're going to do a nice light bit of pepper, just like so. A nice bit of salt, right there. And then the best ingredient of all, your paprika. Now I like to go ham on the paprika. Feel free to. It makes things, we'll just add a little bit more there. And it makes things go great. And then you just want to continue to mix it as your meat is cooking. You should start to smell a nice, beautiful, if you're hungry like I am, smell that makes you want to really, really get into the food a little bit later. So you want to keep cooking until the meat all has cooked. So you don't want to see any raw pieces. You just want them nicely light white. Or if they're completely covered in paprika, a nice white with some red accent. So as you're cooking that, you want to kind of do that and get it set. What you're going to add next, once the meat is all fully cooked, you're going to add back in your onions and your mushrooms. It'll be a nice little quick thing. You'll cook for a little bit longer. And here in a second, you're going to see me do some balancing acts in getting my pasta out of the pot, out of the boiling water, and into a strainer. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab quickly a nice little bowl to put these noodles in after they're done. This is just a white, regular glass bowl. Whatever you got works. I'm going to put it over here next to the sink. And this is going to be a fun little treat for you guys because I have yet to do this perfectly on the first or second try. So we got 20 seconds left on that. The meat is cooking just beautifully. Still smelling great. We've got a few bit of raw pieces in there, so we still want to make sure we cook those through before we add in the rest of the stuff. I'm going to go ahead and jump in early on the pasta so we can get a jump start on that. And we're going to go ahead and strain this as best as we can. I have set the strainer to the side, and we're just going to kind of pour nice and easy, just like so. You guys have strained noodles before, I'm sure. It's patronizing if I go into any more detail, so we won't do that. And then miraculously, my third hand, which is also governing the camera, will make that disappear. And we'll do the rest of the straining just like so. And again, magic, the noodles make it into the bowl. And you can just let them sit. They're not going to go anywhere for right now. And make sure you turn off the timer because it gets annoying. And your meat should be just about finished now. You should have one or two few pieces. If you can kind of get them flipped to where they're the ones cooking, it works even better. But you just want to make sure all the white bits are going. I have one or two lighter pieces, and so I'm going to turn the heat up just a little bit, get it cooking a little bit faster for you all. I know we want to aim for the 15-20 minute mark, like I said. Next, what you're going to want to do is you want to make sure that your mix, if you haven't already prepped it, is good to go. So I like to use 2 gravy packets because I like gravy. I'm a terrible person. But what I end up doing is I use 1 2/3 cups worth of water instead of the full 2, because we're going to put some of this lovely wine in here to add into it, as well as the juices from the mushrooms and the onions. You don't want your sauce too liquidy. You want it to be nice and thick, just like the Hunter sauce, the Geschnetzeltisch is wanting to be. It is a heavy meal, so normally I also make some vegetables. I do red cabbage, which is drowned in red wine, and then that's reduced out. Carrots always work, mashed potatoes, those are your go-to ones. I did not because, let's be honest, my mom's not here. So last, as the meat finishes up, which my meat looks like it is good, you're gonna add in your mushrooms and your onions, just like so. You want to get sure to get all of that, because those are going to be vital to a beautiful sauce. And then you just kind of want to stir that in just a little bit. I know you guys can't smell it, but it smells amazing. I'm probably going to eat this as soon as it's finished, which is generally the case. You're then going to want to turn and put your gravy mix right in there. It's going to look real runny and watery for the moment, and you're just going to want to mix. Oh, well, there we go. Make sure you get all of that in there. You're going to want to mix it as best as you can with that, and at this point in time is when you're going to want to add the wine. Now, if you love the taste of wine, go for it. Just pour it and pour it and pour it. I and my mom generally just put a little bit like that. It's going to reduce out. I like to use Sauvignon Blanc, or more importantly, Riesling, because if we're going to keep with the German tradition, let's keep with the German wine. Anything will work. White wine generally works a little bit better than red wine, but whatever you have, feel free to use. Aldi's Winking Owl cooks really well, so if you're not looking to spend too much on that. And then you're just going to kind of let this sit, just like that, until you see the gravy start to boil. If you added a lot of wine, you got that nice wine smell, which is beautiful on its own. So you're going to let this go until it boils. It shouldn't take too long. You're just going to watch the pot. As you're doing that, this would be the time to prep if you're making a salad, anything of that nature. Set the table, wash the dishes, whatever you want to do. And then I'm going to clean up just a little bit. I'm going to move all my seasonings and spices back over to where they came from, just so that you guys can see them once again. So we use the olive oil right there for the onions and the mushrooms in the beginning. Salt, paprika, and pepper were for seasoning the meat. The wine was for the sauce. And then this heavy whipping cream, you guys are probably wondering what it's there for. If you've already guessed, it's going into the sauce once we are ready for it. But if you take a look at the sauce, you'll see that it start to bubble. This is the part where it's starting to boil. You'll know the gravy is about to start to thicken. Once you get there, we've got a few slight bubbles. You can even turn the heat up a little bit. Once that starts to bubble, once it starts to boil, you're going to turn the heat down to low. You'll add in your heavy whipping cream. You don't want to do too much. It's really just to turn the sauce from a dark brown to kind of a medium brown, and add a little bit of thickness to your sauce. Now, sometimes you want to cook your meat a little bit longer if you like it a little more chewy. You can also cook it a little less if you like a little bit more. I chop mine into like little cubes. My mom likes to cut hers into long strips. It's really your preference on how you want to make your sauce. But we're starting to bubble here and boil. Come on, boil. Boiling pot never, a watched pot never boils. That's the saying. A boiling pot always boils, because that's what boiling is. But we're going to keep it just going a little bit. You want to make sure that that wine smell starts to get less and less. You don't want to get drunk off of Geschnetzeltisch. It's happened to me before. It's not the worst thing in the world, but so as we are going about our weekly devotions, I know you guys have been watching, Robert, you've watched Kathy, And so this was just kind of me sharing something that I found in my meditation and my quarantine Lenten discipline. I've been cooking this, I've been cooking pizza. I used to not cook. The easiest option for me was to just get something from the freezer, throw it in the microwave, that was it. But I found that the time that I'm putting into my food goes into my body as a better temple for me to be able to practice. I'm less tired, those kinds of things, the sodium level, all those things have kind of contributed to me just feeling better. And so I have taken that upon myself as my Lenten practice during this quarantine time to just cook better and to eat better. And so I appreciate all of you joining me today. If you look, we've got the boiling that we're looking for, just like this. You're going to turn the heat down to low. And then the last step that I'm going to show you all is we're going to add some of this heavy whipping cream, just a little bit, just so in the middle. Doesn't have to be too much. You could also just avoid that completely. And then you're just going to mix it into the gravy, into the sauce. And as you can tell, the gravy has changed from a darker brown into a lighter brown. And now you have your hunter's sauce. Now, generally I let this sit on the simmer for about another 5 minutes just to kind of let everything juice and marinate and cook together. But at the end of the day, that's all it is. You're going to take some of this, put it in a bowl. Now, the secret to making the best bowl of Geschnitzeltisch, take a scoop of the sauce with the meat and the mushrooms and the onion, put it on the bottom of your bowl. Then you add your pasta, and then you add more sauce. You want to kind of sandwich it in so when you mix it together, you're not missing a single noodle. But I do appreciate all of you for joining me today. And like I said earlier, our Bible tells us to do everything that we want to do, whether it is eat, to drink, or whatever, to do it to the glory of God. And so we thank God for the food that He's provided today. And thank you all for joining me. And have a great rest of your week and enjoy your weekend. Toodles, everyone.